They said she was nothing, a shadow, a mistake. But when the Warhound chose her over every noble daughter in the kingdom, the entire court fell silent. King Cassian had one rule: never let them control him. The council wanted a puppet queen. They got a servant girl with secrets that could burn their world to ash. This is the story of how a trembling girl in rags became the most dangerous woman in the realm, and how an alpha king chose loyalty over politics, truth over tradition, and love over everything they tried to take from him. Stay until the end. You won't believe what happens next. Drop your city in the comments and smash that like button. The great hall of Obsidian Keep stank of desperation wrapped in silk. Cassian stood at the head of the dais, arms crossed, jaw tight, and tried not to let his disgust show. Around him, the air shimmered with expensive perfume and cheaper ambition. 37 noble women. 37 families who thought they could buy a crown with a pretty face and empty promises. He'd rather fight another border war. Your Majesty, Elder Thorne's voice slithered across the marble floor. The hour grows late. Surely one of these fine ladies has caught your eye. Cassian didn't look at him. Thorne was a viper in velvet robes, head of the ruling council, architect of half the kingdom's so-called alliances, and the reason Cassian was standing here like a prize bull at auction. No, Cassian said flatly. A ripple of shock went through the assembled nobles. Lady Meredith, draped in enough emeralds to fund a small army, actually gasped. Her father, Duke Heron, turned purple. Your Majesty, Thorne tried again, his smile never wavering. The kingdom needs stability. These alliances are your problem, not mine. Cassian finally turned to face the elder. You want me married? Fine. But I choose who stands beside me. Not you, not them. He jerked his chin toward the cluster of council members lurking like crows at the edges of the hall. Thorne's eyes narrowed, just for a second. Then the smile returned, oily and patient. Of course, Your Majesty, but surely you understand. I understand, Cassian cut him off, that my father died defending this kingdom while you sat in this hall counting gold. I understand that every woman here is a leash you want around my neck. And I understand that if I don't pick someone, you'll find a way to pick for me. The silence was absolute. Cassian turned back to the assembled noblewomen. They stared at him with expressions ranging from shock to calculation to barely concealed hunger. Every single one of them saw the same thing: power, a crown, a chance to whisper in the ear of the strongest alpha in 3 generations. None of them saw him. So here's what's going to happen, Cassian said, his voice carrying to every corner of the hall. I'll walk this line, once. If any of you interest me, I'll know. It was a lie, but it would buy him time. He started down the steps. Behind him, Ghost rose from where he'd been lying in the shadows. The massive Warhound was the size of a small pony, with fur like smoke and eyes that glowed faint silver in the torchlight. He'd been Cassian's companion since childhood, through every battle, every loss, every quiet moment when the weight of the crown felt too heavy to bear. Ghost never left his side. The noblewomen straightened as Cassian approached. Lady Meredith thrust her chest out. The Baroness of Silverkeep fluttered her eyelashes so hard Cassian thought she might take flight. A visiting princess from the southern wastes actually stepped forward, blocking his path, and purred something in a language he didn't speak. He walked past all of them. This was theater. Performance. The council wanted a show, so he'd give them one. Then he'd find a way to make them regret forcing his hand. He was halfway down the line when Ghost stopped. Cassian paused, turned. What? The Hound's ears were forward, his massive head lowered, nostrils flaring. He wasn't looking at the nobles. He was looking past them. Ghost, Cassian said quietly. What is it? The Warhound moved, not toward the women in their finery, not toward the council or the guards, or the hundreds of eyes watching from the gallery. He padded across the polished floor, moving with the eerie grace of a predator, and walked straight to the back of the hall, to the shadows behind the marble pillars, to a girl Cassian hadn't even noticed was there. The hall went silent. Cassian followed. She was small. That was his first thought. Small and pale and trembling like a rabbit caught in a snare. She wore the rough brown dress of a servant, her hair pulled back in a braid that had half come undone. She was holding a tray, empty now, dropped at her feet when Ghost approached, and her hands were shaking so hard he could see it from 10 feet away. Ghost sat in front of her, stared up at her with those silver eyes. Then he lowered his massive head and pressed it against her stomach. The girl made a small, broken sound. Her hands came up, hesitated, then settled on Ghost's head. The trembling stopped. Cassian's world tilted. "What," Elder Thorn's voice was ice, "is the meaning of this?" Cassian ignored him. He walked slowly toward the girl, watching her face. She didn't look up, didn't meet his eyes, just stood there with her hands buried in Ghost's fur, breathing like she'd just run a mile. "What's your name?" Cassian asked. She flinched. I'm sorry, Your Majesty. I didn't mean, I'll go." "Your name," Cassian repeated. "Luna." The word was barely a whisper. Luna. Moon. It suited her, pale and quiet and half hidden in the dark. "How long have you worked here?" 3 years, Your Majesty." "And Ghost has never approached you before?" She shook her head quickly. "No, never. I swear I didn't. I don't know why he... I do." The hall erupted. "Your Majesty!" Duke Heron's voice boomed over the chaos. "You cannot possibly..." "She's a servant!" Lady Meredith shrieked. "This is madness!" someone else shouted. Cassian didn't move. He stood there 3 feet from the girl and watched her. Really watched her. She was terrified. He could smell it on her, sharp and animal, but she hadn't run. Hadn't tried to push Ghost away or beg forgiveness. She just stood there, shaking, with her hands on his hound. And Ghost, who'd torn out the throat of an enemy commander last winter, who'd never let anyone but Cassian touch him, was leaning into her like she was home. "Elder Thorn," Cassian said quietly. The hall fell silent again. When Cassian used that tone, people listened. "Yes, Your Majesty? You said I had to choose tonight, correct?" The council believed, "Yes or no?" A pause. "Yes." "Then I choose her." The explosion was immediate. Nobles shouting, council members surging forward, Lady Meredith actually screaming. Cassian let it wash over him. He'd expected this, wanted it even. Let them show their hand. Luna looked up at him for the first time. Her eyes were gray, pale, clear gray, like winter ice, and in them he saw something he hadn't seen in any of the noblewomen's faces. Fear, yes. Confusion, absolutely. But also recognition. She saw him. Not the crown, not the power. Him. "You don't have to do this," she whispered. "I know. They'll destroy me. They'll try." Her hands tightened in Ghost's fur. "Why?" Good question. Cassian didn't have a good answer. Just instinct. Just the bone-deep certainty that Ghost had never been wrong about anything that mattered. "Because," he said, "I don't trust any of them. And my hound trusts you." That's insane. Probably. For the first time, something that might have been a smile flickered across her face. It vanished almost immediately, but Cassian saw it. He turned to face the hall. Elder Thorn stood at the base of the dais, his face carefully blank. Around him, the council members were in varying states of shock and rage. The noblewomen looked like they wanted to commit murder. Duke Heron was actually shaking. "The decision is made," Cassian said. "Your Majesty." Thorn's voice was silk over steel. "With respect, this is not a decision. This is a mistake. The girl is a servant. She has no family, no title, no training. She has Ghost's approval. That's worth more than all the titles in this room. The council will never accept..." "The council," Cassian interrupted, his voice dropping to a growl that made several people step back, "doesn't get a vote. I am the Alpha King. I am the law. And I have made my choice." Thorn's mask slipped. Just for a second, Cassian saw the rage underneath, cold, calculating, and very, very patient. "Of course, Your Majesty." The elder bowed. "But perhaps a trial period? To ensure the girl is suitable." There it was. The trap. If Cassian said no, he looked like a tyrant. If he said yes, they'd have time to tear Luna apart. He smiled. "Let them see teeth." "What did you have in mind?" "The traditional trials," Thorn said smoothly. 3 tests to prove fitness for the crown. Combat, wisdom, and grace. Simple formalities, really. Any true Luna should pass easily. Cassian almost laughed. "Combat? For a servant girl who probably weighed 100 pounds soaking wet? It was execution dressed up as ceremony. But if he refused, they'd call it proof she wasn't worthy. He looked at Luna. She was staring at Thorn with an expression Cassian couldn't quite read. Not fear, something sharper. When? Cassian asked. 3 days hence. It will give the girl time to prepare. Thorn's smile was poison. Fine. Cassian turned back to Luna, offered his hand. You'll stay in the royal wing, under my protection. She stared at his hand like it might bite her. I can't, she whispered. You don't have a choice. They won't let this go. The moment you're alone, they'll make you disappear. Then maybe I should disappear. No. The word came out harder than he intended. Cassian took a breath, softened his voice. You think I'm doing this to save you. I'm not. I'm doing it to save myself from becoming their puppet. But if you run, you make me a liar. And I really, really don't like being made a liar. Her jaw tightened. For a moment he thought she'd refuse. Then she took his hand. Her palm was rough with calluses. Working hands. Real hands. Not like the soft, perfumed fingers of the noble women still staring daggers at her back. Cassian led her up the dais. The crowd parted, some from respect, some from shock, some from sheer confusion. At the top of the steps, he turned to face them all. Luna will be prepared for the trials, he announced. Anyone who interferes with her preparation will answer to me personally. Anyone who harms her will discover why they call me the Blood King. Are we clear? Silence. I said, Cassian's voice dropped to a snarl, are we clear? A chorus of yes, your majesty, echoed through the hall. Good. This gathering is over. Get out. They fled. All of them. Nobles, council members, servants scrambling to clean up the chaos. Within minutes, the great hall was empty except for Cassian, Luna, Ghost, and the guards at the doors. Cassian looked down at the girl beside him. She was still shaking, still pale, but she hadn't let go of his hand. You know they're going to try to kill me, she said quietly. Yes. You know I have no idea how to fight, or lead, or do any of the things a queen is supposed to do. Yes. Then why? Cassian looked at Ghost. The Hound was watching Luna with an expression that, on a human, would have been devotion. Because, Cassian said, Ghost has never been wrong, and because I'm tired of playing their game, so we're going to change the rules. Luna finally looked up at him. Those winter gray eyes searched his face. I don't trust you, she said. Good. I don't trust me either. That almost smile flickered across her face again. What now? She asked. Now? Cassian glanced toward the doors where Thorn had vanished. Now we prepare for war. The royal wing was on the opposite side of the keep from the servants' quarters. Might as well have been a different world. Luna walked beside King Cassian in silence, Ghost padding along on her other side like a massive furry guardian. She was going to die. The thought kept circling her brain, calm and certain. She was going to die, and it was going to be slow, and it was going to hurt. You're spiraling, Cassian said. Luna blinked. What? I can hear you thinking from here. Stop it. Stop thinking about my imminent death? Sure. Easy. He glanced at her. You have a mouth on you. I'm about to be murdered. Seemed like a good time to stop being polite. To her surprise, he laughed. Actually laughed. A rough, rusty sound, like he didn't do it often. They reached a door carved with wolves and moons. Cassian pushed it open. This is your room. It connects to mine through there. He pointed to a smaller door on the far wall. Guards will be posted outside at all times. No one gets in without my permission. Luna stepped inside and immediately felt sick. The room was bigger than the entire servants' dormitory, bigger than her old pack house before she shut that thought down hard. It's too much, she said. It's necessary. You're playing a queen now. You have to look like one. I don't know how to play anything. Cassian studied her for a long moment. You've been hiding here for 3 years, working in a castle full of predators, keeping your head down, staying invisible. That takes skill. Intelligence. You've been playing a role this whole time. You just didn't call it that. Luna opened her mouth, closed it. He wasn't wrong. Why did he do it? She asked quietly. Who? Ghost. Why did he choose me? Cassian's expression shifted. became something harder, sadder. I don't know, he admitted. But Ghost was a gift from my father, the last thing he gave me before he died. And my father always said Ghost could see things humans couldn't. Lies, truth, intent. He paused. Souls, maybe. Luna's chest tightened. She looked down at the Hound, who was now sitting at her feet, watching her with those unsettling silver eyes. I'm not special, she whispered. Ghost seems to disagree. Before she could respond, someone knocked. Cassian's hand went to the sword at his hip. Instant, automatic, but he relaxed when a woman's voice called through the door. It's Mira, Your Majesty. Come in. The door opened. A woman in her 40s entered, dressed in the practical clothes of a senior servant. She had sharp eyes and gray in her hair, and the kind of face that said she'd seen everything twice. This is Mira, Cassian said, head of the royal household. She'll help you prepare for the trials, and before you argue, he held up a hand as Luna opened her mouth. She's the only person in this keep I'd trust with my life, which means she's the only person I trust with yours. Mira looked Luna up and down with an expression that gave nothing away. You're smaller than I expected, she said finally. I get that a lot. Can you fight? No. Read? Yes. Dance? Why would I? Because, Mira interrupted, the Grace trial involves formal movement, court dances, etiquette, things they'll expect you to fail at. Luna felt her stomach drop. I'm going to fail at all of it. Probably. Mira's bluntness was almost refreshing. But we have 3 days. That's enough time to teach you how to survive it, maybe even surprise them. How? Mira smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. By being smarter than they think you are. Come, we start now. Luna looked at Cassian. He nodded. I have council business, he said. Damage control. They're going to spend the next 3 days trying to find a way to get rid of both of us. Mira will keep you safe. He turned to leave, then paused. Luna. Yes? Don't trust anyone. Not the servants, not the guards, not even the people who seem friendly. Everyone here wants something. Even you? He met her eyes. Especially me. Then he was gone, Ghost following at his heels. Luna stood alone at the massive room with Mira, who was already moving toward the wardrobe. First things first, Mira said, pulling out a dress that probably cost more than Luna had earned in 3 years. You need to look like you belong here. Then we work on making sure you don't die in 3 days. Great, Luna muttered. No pressure. Mira glanced at her. You're afraid. Of course I'm afraid. I'm a servant girl pretending to be a queen. They're going to eat me alive. Good. Luna blinked. What? Fear keeps you sharp, keeps you careful. The noble women out there? Mira gestured vaguely toward the door. Half of them think they're invincible. That arrogance will get them killed. You know you're in danger. That gives you an advantage. I don't feel very advantaged. Mira handed her the dress. You will. Now change. We have work to do. Mount. 3 days. Luna barely slept. Barely ate. Mira ran her through every possible scenario. How to hold a sword without dropping it, how to walk in a formal gown without tripping, how to answer questions designed to make her look stupid. The wisdom trial is the most dangerous, Mira explained on the second night. They'll ask you riddles, hypothetical scenarios, questions about law and history, things you couldn't possibly know. So I'll fail, not if you're honest about what you don't know. Humility can be a weapon. Let them think you're simple, then prove you're not. Luna's head was spinning. I don't understand. Mira sat across from her, expression serious. You're not trying to be a perfect queen. You're trying to survive long enough to become one. There's a difference. Play to your strengths. You've survived in this castle for 3 years without anyone noticing you. That takes intelligence. Use it. Luna wanted to argue. Wanted to say that hiding wasn't the same as leading. But Mira was right. She'd learned to read people, to see the patterns, to know when to speak and when to disappear. Maybe that was enough. On the 3rd day, Cassian came to her room just before dawn. It's time, he said. Luna stood. She was wearing a dress Mira had chosen, simple, elegant, silver gray like her eyes. Her hair was braided and pinned. She looked like someone else, I'm going to embarrass you, Luna said quietly. You're going to surprise them. Cassian offered his arm. Trust me. I don't. Smart. They walked to the great hall together. The entire court was already assembled, hundreds of faces, all watching, all judging. Luna's pulse hammered in her throat. Elder Thorn stood at the center of the hall, flanked by the other council members. He smiled when he saw her. Lady Luna, he said, voice dripping false warmth, are you prepared to prove your worth? Luna looked at him, really looked at him. And for the first time, she saw past the robes and the smile. She saw the man who'd destroyed her pack. She'd been 7 years old when they came, when they burned her home and killed her family and left her for dead in the ashes. She'd spent 13 years running, hiding, trying to forget, but she'd never forgotten his face. Thorn didn't recognize her. Why would he? She'd been a child, a nobody, just one more body in a pile of bodies he'd left behind. Luna felt something cold settle in her chest, something sharp. She smiled at him. I'm ready, she said, and she meant it. The first trial was combat, and they'd designed it to kill her. Luna stood in the center of the training arena, dirt under her boots, morning sun beating down on her shoulders. Around her, wooden barriers formed a circle 30 feet across. Beyond that, bleachers rose in tiers, packed with nobles who'd come to watch her fail. Or die. Probably both. Elder Thorn stood at the edge of the arena, hands clasped behind his back, that same gentle smile on his face. The combat trial is simple, he announced to the crowd. Lady Luna will face 3 opponents of increasing difficulty. She must survive all 3 encounters to pass. Survive. Not win, just survive. Luna's hands were sweating inside the leather gloves Mira had given her. The sword at her hip felt like a foreign object. She'd spent the last 3 days learning which end to hold. That was about it. Cassian stood in the royal box, Ghost beside him. His face was carved stone, but his eyes tracked every movement in the arena. Luna caught his gaze for just a second. He gave her the smallest nod. It didn't help. First opponent, Thorn called, but step forward. A young guard entered the arena. He looked nervous, couldn't have been more than 20, with freckles and red hair and an apologetic expression. He held a wooden practice sword, not a real blade. Luna felt a flicker of relief. This was survivable. Then she saw the way he moved, trained, confident. This kid had probably been practicing since he could walk. Begin, Thorn said. The guard attacked immediately. Luna barely got her sword up in time. The impact jarred her whole arm, sent her stumbling backward. The guard pressed forward, not giving her space to think. Mira's voice echoed in her head. Don't try to win, just don't die. Luna backed away, blocking when she could, dodging when she couldn't. The guard's strikes were controlled. He was pulling his punches, trying not to actually hurt her, but even restrained, he was faster, stronger, better than she could ever hope to be. A blow caught her shoulder. Pain exploded down her arm. Luna gasped, nearly dropped her sword. The crowd murmured. Some of them were already laughing. Luna gritted her teeth, adjusted her grip. The guard came at her again, and this time she didn't try to block. She dove sideways, rolled, badly, her shoulder screaming, and came up behind him. For just a second, he was off balance. Luna kicked the back of his knee. The guard went down. She pressed the wooden sword to his neck. Silence. Then Thorn's voice. First opponent defeated. Well done, Lady Luna. He didn't sound happy about it. The guard stood, nodding to her with what looked like genuine respect. Luna's legs were shaking, her shoulder throbbed. 1 down, 2 to go. Second opponent. This one wasn't a kid. This one was a veteran, scarred face, graying hair, eyes that had seen real combat. He carried a wooden sword, but the way he held it suggested he knew exactly how much damage it could do. Luna's stomach dropped. Begin. The veteran didn't rush. He circled her, slow and patient, like a cat with a mouse. Luna turned with him, trying to keep her guard up, trying to remember anything Mira had taught her. He struck without warning. Luna blocked, barely. But the force of it drove her to one knee. Before she could recover, he swept her legs out from under her. She hit the ground hard. Air exploded from her lungs. The veteran's sword stopped an inch from her throat. Yield, he said quietly. Luna stared up at him, at the crowd beyond, at Thorn's satisfied smile. She thought about her pack. about the fire, about being 7 years old and hiding in a drainage ditch while everything burned. She'd survived that. She could survive this. No, Luna whispered. The veteran's eyebrows rose. Girl, Luna grabbed a handful of dirt and threw it in his face. He stumbled back, cursing. Luna rolled to her feet, ignored the pain screaming through her ribs, and swung her sword at his knee, not the blade, the pommel. It connected with a solid crack. The veteran went down. Luna didn't give him time to recover. She kicked his sword away, pressed her boot to his chest, and put her blade to his throat. For a second, nobody moved. Then the veteran started laughing. Clever, he said. Dirty, but clever. Yield? Luna asked. Yeah, I yield. The crowd erupted. Some were cheering. Most were shouting protests. Luna caught sight of Lady Meredith, her face twisted with rage, screaming something Luna couldn't hear. Cassian was smiling. Actually smiling. Luna helped the veteran to his feet. He clapped her shoulder, the good one, and leaned in close. Third one won't go easy, he muttered. Watch yourself. Then he was gone, and Luna was alone in the arena again. Her ribs hurt. Her shoulder was on fire. She could taste blood where she'd bitten her tongue. Final opponent, Thorn announced. Luna turned. The woman who entered the arena made the veteran look soft. She was tall, built like a weapon, with black hair pulled back in a severe braid. She carried 2 wooden swords, spinning them casually like they weighed nothing. Luna recognized her. Captain Vera, head of the elite guard, the woman who'd personally trained half the soldiers in the keep. This wasn't a test anymore. This was execution. This isn't fair, Luna said. Thorn smiled. Life rarely is, child. Cassian stood. Thorn, the rules were clear, Your Majesty. 3 opponents. Lady Luna has defeated 2. 1 remains. She's injured. Then perhaps, Thorn said softly, she should yield. The trap closed. If Luna yielded, she failed. If she fought, she'd be destroyed. Either way, Thorn won. Luna looked at Captain Vera. The woman's expression was neutral, but her eyes were sympathetic. I can make it quick, Vera said quietly. No shame in yielding. Luna's hand tightened on her sword. She thought about Cassian's words. They'll try to destroy you. She thought about Thorn's face when he'd stood over her burning home. She thought about Ghost pressing his massive head against her stomach like she mattered. No, Luna said. Vera sighed. Your funeral, girl. Begin, Thorn called. Vera moved like lightning. Luna barely saw the first strike coming. She blocked on instinct. Wrong angle, wrong timing. And the impact sent her sword flying from her hand. The second blade came at her face. Luna threw herself backward, hit the ground rolling, came up empty-handed and defenseless. The crowd was screaming. Luna couldn't tell if they were cheering or calling for blood. Vera advanced, both swords ready. Stay down. Luna looked around desperately. Her sword was 10 feet away. Vera was between her and any escape. The arena walls were too high to climb. She was going to lose. Unless she changed the game. Luna straightened, raised her hands. Not in surrender, in a fighting stance Mira had shown her. No weapons, just fists. Vera paused. What are you doing? Surviving, Luna said. Then she charged. It was stupid, suicidal. Vera had reach, weapons, training, but Luna was smaller, faster, and desperate. She ducked under Vera's first swing, got inside her guard, and drove her elbow into the captain's stomach. Vera grunted, swung her sword in a tight arc. Luna barely ducked it, felt the wood whistle past her ear. She grabbed Vera's wrist, twisted, used the woman's own momentum to throw her off balance. They went down together in a tangle of limbs. Vera's sword skittered away. They rolled, each trying to pin the other. Vera was stronger, but Luna was fighting like a cornered animal, clawing, biting, using every dirty trick she could think of. Vera got her in a headlock. Luna sank her teeth into the woman's forearm. Vera swore and let go. Luna scrambled away, grabbed one of the fallen swords, and spun around. Vera was already standing, her remaining sword pointed at Luna's chest. They stared at each other, both panting, both bleeding from a dozen small cuts. Enough, Vera said. I haven't yielded. You should. Make me. Something flickered across Vera's face. Respect, maybe. or pity. She lunged. Luna dodged, too slow. The wooden blade caught her across the ribs. Pain exploded through her chest. She went down hard, gasping, vision swimming. Vera stood over her, sword raised. "Yield," she said. Luna couldn't breathe, couldn't think. Everything hurt. She looked past Vera to the royal box. Cassian was gripping the railing so hard his knuckles were white. Ghost was on his feet, hackles raised, growling. Luna thought about yielding, about ending this, about walking away and going back to being invisible. Then she thought about Thorn's smile. She rolled sideways. Vera's sword hit dirt where her head had been a second before. Luna swept the captain's legs, exactly like the veteran had done to her, and Vera crashed down. Luna lunged, got her knee on Vera's chest, her sword to the captain's throat. "Yield!" Luna gasped. Vera stared up at her. Then she started laughing. "You're insane. Yield. Fine. I yield." Vera pushed the sword away from her throat. "You win, little wolf." The crowd exploded. This time, the cheering drowned out the protests. Luna stood on shaking legs. Vera stood beside her, clapped her on the shoulder, gentle this time, and leaned in. "Thorn wanted me to break your ribs," she murmured. "Thought you'd want to know." Luna looked at her sharply. Vera's face was carefully neutral. "Why didn't you?" Luna asked. "Because," Vera said quietly, "I've seen what happens to people who get in Thorn's way. Figured you deserved a fighting chance." Then she walked away, leaving Luna standing alone in the center of the arena. Thorn descended from his platform, his expression frozen in that same pleasant mask. But his eyes were cold. "Congratulations, Lady Luna," he said. "You have passed the combat trial." The crowd was still roaring. Luna could barely hear him. "Tomorrow," Thorn continued, "you will face the wisdom trial. I trust you will be equally prepared." It was a threat wrapped in silk. Luna met his gaze. "I'm looking forward to it." His smile tightened, just a fraction. Then Cassian was there, Ghost at his heels. He took Luna's arm, gentle, checking for injuries she was too stubborn to show. "You're bleeding," he said. "I'm standing. Barely. Still counts." He almost smiled. Almost. "Come on. Mira's going to have my head if I don't get you to the healers." They walked out of the arena together, the crowd partying around them. Luna could feel hundreds of eyes on her back, judging, reassessing, some with new respect, some with new hatred. She didn't care. She'd survived. But as they crossed into the keep, she caught sight of a figure in the shadows. A servant, watching her with an expression she couldn't read. The servant turned and disappeared down a corridor. Luna's instinct screamed. Something was wrong. "Cassian," she said quietly. "I know." His hand had gone to his sword. "I saw him too." Sab. The healers fussed over Luna for an hour. 3 cracked ribs, a dislocated shoulder they had to pop back in. Luna nearly passed out from that, and enough bruises to make her look like a battlefield. "You need rest," the head healer said firmly. "I need to prepare for tomorrow," Luna countered. "You need both," Cassian cut in. He was leaning against the wall, arms crossed, watching the healers work. "But rest first. Mira's already preparing materials for the wisdom trial." Luna wanted to argue, but her body was screaming at her to lie down and never move again. "Fine," she muttered, "but just for a few hours." The healers left. Cassian remained. "You fought well," he said. "I fought dirty." "Same thing, in my book." He pushed off the wall, came to stand beside the bed. Ghost patted over, pressing his massive head against Luna's hand. She scratched behind his ears automatically. "Why did Thorn really call for these trials?" Luna asked. Cassian was quiet for a moment. "To prove you're not fit. To humiliate me. To remind everyone that he's the one with real power. And if I pass all 3, then he'll find another way to get rid of you." Cassian's voice was flat, matter of fact. "Thorn doesn't lose gracefully." Luna studied his face, the hard lines, the scars, the weight he carried. "Why do you let him stay on the council?" she asked. "Because he has half the noble families in his pocket. If I removed him, I'd have a civil war on my hands." Cassian's jaw tightened. "My father trusted him, made him advisor. By the time I inherited the crown, Thorn's roots were too deep to pull without bringing down the whole tree. So you're trapped. We're both trapped. He met her eyes. That's why I chose you. You're the one person in this keep who doesn't owe Thorn anything, who can't be bought or threatened into compliance. Luna's breath caught. You chose me because I'm expendable. I chose you because you're free. Cassian's voice was rough. Everyone else is playing his game, but you don't even know the rules. That makes you dangerous. I'm a servant who just barely survived being beaten to death in an arena. You're a survivor who just passed a trial designed to break you. Cassian leaned closer. You see the difference? Luna wanted to look away. Couldn't. Those amber eyes held her pinned. What happened to your pack? Cassian asked quietly. Every muscle in Luna's body went rigid. What? You have the look, the smell. You're not just a servant. You're a wolf without a pack. He paused. I've been one too. I know what it looks like. Luna's hands clenched in the sheets. I don't want to talk about it. Fair enough. Cassian straightened. But Luna? Whatever happened, whoever hurt you, you don't have to face them alone anymore. He turned to leave. Thorn killed them, Luna said. Cassian stopped. I was 7. He came to our settlement with soldiers, said we'd broken some law I didn't understand, gave us 1 hour to leave. Luna's voice was distant, mechanical. My father tried to negotiate. Thorn set fire to the main hall while they were still talking. Everyone inside burned. My mother hid me in a drainage ditch, told me to run when it was safe. Cassian turned slowly. His face was terrible. How many survived? He asked. Just me. Silence. Heavy and crushing. Does Thorn know who you are? Cassian's voice was very, very quiet. No. I was a child. Just another face in a pile of bodies. Luna finally looked at him. But I remember him. I've remembered him every day for 13 years. Cassian's hand was on his sword hilt. Why didn't you say something? And tell you what? That the head of your council is a murderer? You just said you can't touch him without starting a war. I would have found a way. No. Luna's voice was hard. You would have tried to protect me, and Thorn would have made sure I disappeared before I could talk. This way. She gestured at the room, the bruises, all of it. This way, I'm in plain sight, too visible to kill quietly. Cassian stared at her. You're using yourself as bait. I'm using the only advantage I have. Luna met his gaze. You wanted someone who could change the game? Fine. But I'm not changing it for you. I'm changing it for me. A long moment passed. Then Cassian smiled. It was a terrible smile, all teeth and violence. You're smarter than I thought, he said. Everyone is. He laughed, that rough, rusty sound again. Tomorrow's trial is going to be harder. Thorn will have questions designed to make you look ignorant, scenarios with no right answer. He'll twist everything you say. I know. Mira can help, but there's only so much she can teach in one night. I know that too. Cassian studied her. You have a plan. It wasn't a question. Luna smiled. I'm going to tell the truth. That's not a plan. That's suicide. Maybe. Luna leaned back against the pillows, exhaustion crashing over her. But I'm good at surviving things that should kill me. Let's see if Thorn is too. Cassian looked at her for a long moment. Then he nodded. Get some rest, he said. Tomorrow we go to war. He left. Ghost followed, glancing back at Luna once before disappearing through the door. Luna lay in the dark, her body screaming with pain, her mind racing. She'd passed the first trial, barely. Tomorrow would be worse. But she'd seen the look on Thorn's face when she'd won, the flash of anger beneath the mask. He was worried. Good. Let him be. Luna closed her eyes and tried to sleep. But every time she drifted off, she saw fire, heard screaming, smelled smoke and burning flesh. She was 7 years old again, hiding in the dark while her world burned. But this time, she wasn't running. This time, she was coming for him. Dawn came too fast. Luna woke to Mira shaking her shoulder, a cup of something hot pressed into her hands. Drink, Mira ordered. It'll help with the pain. Luna drank. It tasted like dirt and regret, but the ache in her ribs dulled slightly. You look terrible, Mira said. Thanks. I mean it. You can barely move. How are you going to sit through 6 hours of interrogation? The same way I survived yesterday, stubbornly. Mira's mouth twitched, almost a smile. The wisdom trial isn't like combat. You can't punch your way out of it. I know. Luna set down the cup. That's why I'm going to make them think I'm stupid. Let them underestimate me. Then prove them wrong when it counts. That's risky. Everything about this is risky. Mira pulled out another dress, deep blue this time, with silver embroidery. Wear this. It makes you look older, more serious. Luna changed, moving slowly, her ribs protesting every motion. Mira helped her with the laces, her hands gentle but efficient. There's something you should know, Mira said quietly. Last night, 3 servants went missing. Luna went still. Missing? Disappeared from their quarters. No sign of struggle. No note. Mira's voice was grim. Word is they were planning to testify about something involving Thorn. Luna's blood went cold. They were going to help me. Maybe? Or maybe they just knew too much. Mira met her eyes. Either way, it's a message. Keep your mouth shut or disappear. He's trying to scare me. Is it working? Luna thought about the servant she'd seen yesterday, the shadow in the corridor, the feeling of being watched. Yes, she admitted, but I'm already scared. Have been for 13 years. I'm just tired of running. Mira nodded slowly. Good, use that. Fear makes you sharp. Just don't let it make you reckless. A knock at the door. One of Cassian's guards. It's time, my lady. Luna took a breath. Her ribs screamed. She ignored them. Let's go. The great hall had been transformed. The tables were gone, replaced by a single chair in the center of the room. Around it, the council sat in a semicircle. 7 elders, 7 judges, all of them watching her with expressions ranging from skepticism to outright hostility. Thorn sat at the center, hands folded, that gentle smile in place. Lady Luna, he said warmly, please sit. Luna walked to the chair. Every eye in the hall tracked her movement. The nobles filled the gallery, hundreds of them, waiting to see her fail. Cassian stood to one side with Ghost. He gave her the smallest nod. Luna sat. The wisdom trial, Thorn began, is designed to test your understanding of law, history, and leadership. You will be asked a series of questions. Answer honestly and to the best of your ability. Luna nodded. First question. Thorn's smile widened. Can you recite the 7 tenets of pack law? Luna's stomach dropped. Pack law was complex, volumes of history, precedent, ritual. Nobles spent years studying it. She didn't know the first thing about it. No, Luna said clearly. I can't. Murmurs rippled through the hall. Thorn's eyebrows rose. No, he repeated. I'm a servant. I was never taught pack law. I don't pretend to know something I don't. I see. Thorn made a note on the paper in front of him. Then perhaps a simpler question. What is the primary duty of an alpha's mate? Another trap. If she said obedience, she'd sound weak. If she said leadership, she'd sound arrogant. Luna met his gaze. To survive, she said, because a dead mate can't help anyone. Scattered laughter from the gallery. Thorn's smile tightened. An interesting answer. Let's try something more practical. He leaned forward. Imagine 2 packs are on the brink of war. Both have legitimate grievances. As the alpha's mate, what would you do? Luna thought carefully. This was a test of diplomacy, of wisdom, but it was also a test of honesty. I don't know, she said. The hall went silent. You don't know. Thorn's voice was dangerously soft. I don't have enough information. What are the grievances? What's the history between the packs? Who started the conflict? Without context, any answer I give is just guessing. Luna held his gaze. And guessing gets people killed. Thorn stared at her. For the first time, his mask slipped. Just for a second, a flash of genuine surprise. A wise answer, he said finally. But wisdom requires knowledge. Tell me, Lady Luna, what do you know of the Morning Wars? Luna's heart stopped. The Morning Wars. The conflict that had decimated dozens of packs 13 years ago. The conflict Thorn had used as cover to destroy settlements like hers. The conflict that had burned her family alive. I know they left a lot of orphans, Luna said quietly. The hall was dead silent now. Thorn leaned back in his chair. Indeed, tragic those wars, but necessary, some would say, to maintain order, to prevent chaos. Is that what you'd call it? Luna's voice was soft, deadly. Order? What would you call it? Luna looked at him, really looked at him, and in that moment she made a choice. She could play it safe, give the expected answer, survive the trial, and move on. Or she could do what she'd come here to do. I'd call it murder, Luna said. The hall erupted. Nobles surged to their feet, shouting over each other. Lady Meredith's voice cut through the chaos like a blade. Treason! She accuses the council of murder. Duke Heron was screaming for Luna's arrest. Two younger council members looked genuinely shocked. But Thorn sat perfectly still, his hands still folded, his expression unchanged. That scared Luna more than anything. Cassian moved. He was across the hall in 3 strides, Ghost at his heels, positioning himself between Luna and the council. His hand rested on his sword hilt. Everyone shut up, Cassian said. His voice wasn't loud, but it cut through the noise like ice water. The hall fell silent. Luna, explain. Now. Luna stood. Her legs wanted to shake. She didn't let them. The morning wars weren't wars, she said. Her voice carried in the sudden quiet. They were extermination campaigns. Packs that didn't fall in line were labeled rebel settlements and destroyed. Men, women, children, it didn't matter. Entire bloodlines wiped out. This is absurd, Thorn said calmly. The morning wars were a tragic but necessary response to legitimate threats. Like the Greywater Pack? Luna cut him off. What threat did they pose? They were farmers, healers. They had no army, no weapons, no political power. Thorn's eyes narrowed, just slightly. I'm not familiar with that name. You should be. Luna's heart was hammering, but her voice stayed steady. You burned them to the ground 13 years ago, gave them 1 hour to evacuate, then set fire to the settlement while families were still inside. The hall was frozen, every eye on her. You're claiming, Thorn said slowly, that I personally ordered the destruction of this Greywater Pack? I'm not claiming. I'm stating fact. And you have proof of this fact? Luna's stomach twisted. She had no proof. Nothing but 13-year-old memories and nightmares. I was there, she said. The words fell like stones. Thorn's expression didn't change, but something shifted in his eyes. Recognition. Calculation. You were there, he repeated. A child, presumably. Traumatized by violence, confused about what you saw. I know what I saw. You saw war. Terrible, yes, but war nonetheless. Thorn stood, his movements measured and calm. I sympathize with your pain, child. Truly. But making wild accusations against the council, against me specifically, without a shred of evidence, the evidence burned with my family, Luna said. Her voice cracked. She forced it steady again. That was the point, wasn't it? Destroy everything, leave no witnesses, no records, just ashes and stories that no one would believe. This is conspiracy theory, one of the other council members said. Born of grief and 3 servants disappeared last night, Luna cut in. Servants who worked in the archives, who had access to old records, old orders. She looked at Thorn. Orders signed by you. That got a reaction. Thorn's jaw tightened. You're saying, Cassian's voice was deadly quiet, that Thorn had servants killed to hide evidence? I'm saying 3 people who might have helped me are gone. And I'm saying it's convenient. Convenient. Thorn's voice hardened. Or coincidental. Servants leave employment all the time. This is a castle, not a prison. Then where are they? Luna demanded. Produce them. Let them speak for themselves. I am not accountable to a servant girl playing at nobility. You're accountable to the king, Cassian interrupted. His voice was ice. And right now I want answers. Where are those servants? Thorn turned to face Cassian fully. The temperature in the room dropped. Your Majesty, Thorn said carefully, I understand you have affection for this girl, But you must see what she's doing. She's deflecting from her own inadequacy by making baseless accusations. She cannot answer simple questions about law or history, so she creates drama. I asked you a question, Thorn. Cassian's hand was still on his sword. Where are the servants? A long, tense silence. I don't know, Thorn said finally. I am not in charge of staffing. If servants left, they left. It's hardly my concern. Make it your concern. Find them. Now. Thorn's mask cracked. Just for a second, fury blazed in his eyes. Then it was gone, replaced by that infuriating calm. As you command, Your Majesty. He bowed. Though I must say, entertaining conspiracy theories from an untrained girl is setting a dangerous precedent. The only dangerous thing here, Luna said, is you. Ghost growled. Low and deep, a sound that made several nobles step back. Thorn looked at the Hound, then at Luna, then at Cassian. You've made your allegiance clear, Your Majesty, he said softly. I hope you're prepared for the consequences. Is that a threat? Cassian asked. It's an observation. Thorn gathered his robes. The council will need to discuss this matter, privately, and then we will reconvene to complete Lady Luna's trial, assuming she hasn't disqualified herself by slandering the council. She's answering your questions, Cassian said. That's the trial. Or are you changing the rules because you don't like her answers? The other council members were looking between Thorn and Cassian like spectators at a knife fight. Elder Margot, the oldest member, cleared her throat. Perhaps, she said carefully, we should adjourn for the day. Emotions are high. These are serious accusations that require serious consideration. Serious accusations require serious investigation, Cassian countered, starting with those missing servants. Of course, Your Majesty. Margot stood. We will make inquiries, and tomorrow we will resume the trial. She looked at Luna. Be prepared, child. These claims you've made, if they're false, the consequences will be severe. They're not false, Luna said. Margot's expression was unreadable. We shall see. The council filed out, Thorn at the center. He didn't look back at Luna. Didn't need to. The message was clear. She'd declared war. The hall erupted again the moment the council left. Nobles arguing, shouting, demanding answers. Cassian grabbed Luna's arm and pulled her toward the side exit. Ghost cleared a path, his massive body and low growl enough to make people scramble aside. They made it to a private corridor before Luna's legs gave out. Cassian caught her before she hit the ground. Luna! I'm fine, she gasped. But she wasn't. Her ribs were screaming, her vision was swimming, and now that the adrenaline was fading, the full weight of what she'd just done was crashing down. She'd accused Thorn, in front of everyone, without proof. She'd just signed her own death warrant. You're not fine, Cassian said. He half carried, half dragged her to a nearby alcove, out of sight of the main corridor. You're shaking. I just accused the head of your council of mass murder in front of the entire court. I'm allowed to shake. You should have told me you were going to do that. Would you have stopped me? Cassian was quiet for a long moment. Yes. Luna looked up at him. Why? Because now he knows you're a threat. Before you were just an inconvenience, an insult to his pride. Now? Cassian's jaw was tight. Now you're dangerous, and Thorn doesn't leave dangerous enemies alive. I know. Then why did you do it? Luna leaned back against the cold stone wall, trying to breathe through the pain in her ribs. Because hiding wasn't working. Because those servants are dead. I know they are. And I was next. Because... She met his eyes. Because I'm tired of being afraid of him. Cassian stared at her. You're insane. You already said that. It bears repeating. Despite everything, Luna almost smiled. What happens now? Now? Cassian ran a hand through his hair. Now Thorn goes into damage control. He'll spin this as you being unstable, traumatized, desperate to avoid failing the trial. He'll discredit you before you can build a case. Can you protect me? I can try. But Luna... He crouched down so they were eye level. Those servants really are dead. Thorn covered it up fast and clean, which means he has people inside the keep. People loyal to him, not to me. So I can't trust anyone. You can trust me. Mira. Vera, probably. She's honorable, and she likes you. Ghost, obviously. He smiled grimly. That's about it. Great odds. The best we've got. Footsteps echoed down the corridor. Cassian was on his feet instantly, hand on his sword. Ghost moved to stand in front of Luna. Mira appeared around the corner, breathing hard. There you are. We need to move. Now. What's wrong? Cassian demanded. Thorn's Zhaojiing the full council. Behind closed doors. He's calling for Luna's immediate arrest on charges of slander and inciting civil unrest. Luna's stomach dropped. He's that fast? He's that scared. Mira grabbed Luna's arm, helping her stand. You rattled him. Bad. But that makes him more dangerous, not less. Can they arrest her without my approval? Cassian asked. The council can invoke emergency powers if they claim the crown is compromised. And you defending her? That's all the proof they need that she's compromised you. Cassian swore viciously. They're staging a coup. Not yet, but they're laying the groundwork. Mira started pulling Luna down the corridor. We need to get her somewhere safe, somewhere Thorn's people can't reach her. Where? Luna asked. He has eyes everywhere. Not everywhere. Mira's voice was grim. There's one place in this keep that even Thorn doesn't control. The old catacombs beneath the east wing. They're sealed, forbidden. No one goes down there. Why not? Luna had heard whispers about the catacombs. Nothing good. Because, Cassian said, that's where we keep the archives, the real archives, every order, every document, every piece of evidence from the last 200 years, including the Morning Wars. Luna stopped walking. You have records? My father kept everything. Every military order, every council decision, every signed decree. Cassian's eyes were hard. If Thorn gave the order to destroy your pack, it's down there. But the catacombs are massive. Thousands of documents, most of them damaged or misfiled. Finding one specific order from 13 years ago, I'll find it, Luna said. You can't even walk without help. I'll find it, she repeated. Her voice was steel. This is why I'm here. This is why I survived. To make him answer for what he did. Cassian and Mira exchanged looks. Fine, Cassian said, but I'm going with you. You can't. Mira shook her head. If you disappear, Thorn will claim you're being controlled, that Luna's some kind of witch or manipulator. You need to be visible, in the council meeting, fighting them. I'm not sending her down there alone. She won't be alone. Mira met his eyes. I'll go with her. I know the archive system, and I'm expendable. You're not. No one's expendable, Cassian snapped. Tell that to the 3 servants who disappeared. Mira's voice was harsh. We're out of time and out of options. This is the play. Cassian looked like he wanted to argue, but he didn't, because Mira was right. How do we get to the catacombs without being seen? Luna asked. There's a passage, starts in the old library, ends in the East Wing basement. It's not on any official maps. Mira was already moving again, pulling Luna along. Cassian, you need to get to that council meeting. Stall them. Make them debate. Keep Thorn busy. For how long? As long as you can. We need at least 6 hours to search the archives. 6 hours? We'll manage, Luna said. She looked at Cassian. Trust me. He stared at her. Then slowly he nodded. 6 hours, he said. After that I'm coming to find you, with or without Thorn's permission. Mira pulled Luna away before she could respond. They moved fast through the corridors, avoiding main halls and crowded areas. Luna's ribs protested every step, but she clenched her teeth and kept moving. They reached the old library, a dusty, forgotten room full of books no one had read in decades. Mira went straight to a shelf in the back corner and started pulling out volumes. Help me, she said. Luna grabbed books, setting them aside. Behind the shelf, barely visible, was a seam in the stone. Mira pressed something. The wall shifted, grinding open to reveal a narrow passage descending into darkness. Cold air rushed up, carrying the smell of old stone and decay. After you, Mira said. Luna stepped into the passage. It was pitch black. She felt along the wall, found rough stairs carved into the rock, and started down. Behind her, Mira followed. The wall ground shut, cutting off the last of the light. They descended in absolute darkness for what felt like hours, but was probably only minutes. Luna counted 200 steps before the stairs ended and they hit level ground. Mira struck a flint. Sparks flared, caught on a torch mounted to the wall. Light bloomed. They were standing in a tunnel, ancient stone older than the keep itself. Water dripped somewhere in the distance. "This way," Mira said, taking the torch, "and watch your step. Some of these passages flood during storms." They walked. The tunnel split and split again, a maze of passages that all looked identical. Luna tried to memorize the turns, left, right, straight, left again, but quickly lost track. Finally, they reached a massive iron door. It was rusted, ancient, covered in warnings carved into the metal. "The archives," Mira said. She pulled out a key. Heavy, old, the metal green with age. "Stay close. It's easy to get lost down here." She unlocked the door. It opened with a shriek of protesting metal. Beyond was a cavern. Huge. The size of the Great Hall, maybe bigger. And everywhere were shelves. Stacks. Piles of documents, scrolls, books, ledgers, all of it slowly rotting in the damp air. Luna's heart sank. This was impossible. There had to be thousands, tens of thousands of documents here. "We're looking for military orders from the Morning Wars," Mira said. She was already moving between the shelves, torch held high. "Specifically orders signed by Thorn. The campaigns ran for about 3 years. Your settlement was destroyed." "When?" 13 years ago, late autumn. "Oh, that helps. Military campaigns usually ramped up in summer, wound down in winter." Mira was scanning shelf labels. Most of them faded or illegible. "We need the military archives, Section 7, subsection, here." She pulled open a drawer. It was full of papers, all jumbled together, many of them water-damaged or torn. "Start looking," Mira said. "Anything with Thorn's signature. Anything mentioning pact settlements or rebel activity." Luna grabbed a stack of documents and started sorting through them. Supply requisitions, patrol reports, messages about troop movements. Nothing about settlements, nothing about the Grey Water Pack. They searched. Hours blurred together. Luna's hands were black with old ink and dust. Her ribs throbbed. Her eyes burned. She found reports about skirmishes, about resources, about political maneuvering between council members, but nothing about her family. "It's not here," Luna said finally. Her voice echoed in the vast space. "Thorn must have destroyed it." Maybe. Mira was still searching, methodical and relentless. Or maybe it's misfiled. The archivists who worked down here weren't exactly organized. Luna wanted to scream, to throw something. She'd risked everything on finding proof, and it wasn't here. Then she saw it. A box. Small, wooden, tucked behind a collapsed shelf in the corner. It was labeled in faded ink. Classified. Council eyes only. "Mira," Luna called. They pulled the box out together. Inside were documents sealed with wax. Official seals, council seals. Luna broke one open with shaking hands. It was an order, signed by Elder Thorn, dated 13 years ago, 3 days before her settlement burned. Authorization for military action against the Greywater settlement. Charges: harboring fugitives, resistance to council authority, potential rebellion. Recommended action: complete dissolution. No survivors. No survivors. Luna's vision swam. She could see the words, but they didn't feel real. "That's it," Mira whispered. "That's proof." Luna kept reading. There were more documents, more settlements, dozens of them, all destroyed on Thorn's orders, all labeled as threats, rebels, dangers to the realm, all lies. "He didn't just destroy my pack," Luna said. Her voice was hollow. "He destroyed hundreds, maybe thousands, all under the cover of the Morning Wars." Mira was pale. "If this gets out, it has to get out." Luna gathered the documents carefully. "This is proof. This is..." A sound echoed through the archives, distant but clear. Footsteps. Mira grabbed the torch, held it high. "We're not alone." More footsteps, coming from multiple directions, echoing through the tunnels. Someone had followed them. "We need to leave," Mira said. "Now." They ran. Luna clutched the documents to her chest, ignoring the pain in her ribs. Behind them, the footsteps got louder, closer. Voices echoed. "Find them. The Elder wants them alive." "Mostly." Thorn's men. Mira pulled Luna down a side passage. The torch guttered, threatening to go out. They ran blind, tripping over loose stones, splashing through puddles of stagnant water. A figure stepped out in front of them. Mira swung the torch. The man dodged, grabbed her arm. She kicked him in the knee, and he went down with a grunt. Go! Mira shoved Luna forward. Get those documents to Cassian. I'm not leaving you. You don't have a choice. Mira turned to face the approaching footsteps, torch in one hand, a knife appearing in the other. Run, Luna. Make this count. Luna ran. She ran through the dark, one hand on the wall for guidance, the documents pressed against her chest. Behind her she heard sounds of fighting, Mira shouting, men cursing, then silence. Luna's throat closed, but she kept running. The tunnels twisted and turned. She had no idea where she was going, just away. Away from the sounds, from the danger, from... She burst out of a passage and nearly collided with someone. Strong hands caught her shoulders. Luna screamed, thrashed. Luna! Luna! It's me! Cassian. It was Cassian. He was here, ghost beside him, holding a torch. Behind him were guards, his personal guard, wearing the king's colors. You're alive, Cassian breathed. Where's Mira? Luna couldn't speak, could only shake her head. Cassian's expression went dark. Where is she? They found us, Luna managed. She stayed to fight, to let me escape. Cassian turned to his guards. Find her, now, and anyone else down here who isn't one of ours, arrest them. The guards scattered. Cassian took the documents from Luna's shaking hands, looked at them. His face went white, then red, then something worse than angry. This is... He couldn't finish. Proof, Luna said. He destroyed my pack, dozens of packs, all of it authorized, all of it signed. Her voice cracked. He's a murderer, and you have proof. Cassian looked at her, then at the documents, then back down the tunnel where his guards had gone. This changes everything, he said quietly. Does it change enough? Luna asked. Will it be enough to stop him? Before Cassian could answer, a scream echoed through the tunnels. Mira's scream, then silence. Cassian's hands clenched around the documents, hard enough to crumple the edges. It will be now, he said. Cassian's guards came back carrying Mira. She was alive, barely. Blood soaked through her shirt from a wound in her side. Her face was gray, lips pressed tight against pain she refused to voice. Luna rushed to her. Mira. Got 4 of them, Mira gasped. Her smile was bloody. Before the 5th got lucky. Stop talking, Cassian ordered. He was already barking commands at his guards. Get the healer, now, and seal these tunnels. I want every entrance guarded. No one in or out without my direct authorization. 2 guards carried Mira away. She looked back at Luna once, nodded, then was gone around a corner. Luna stood there, hands shaking, covered in dust and Mira's blood. The documents were still in Cassian's grip, proof that could change everything. Or get them all killed. We need to move, Cassian said. Thorn knows we've found something. He sent those men down here for a reason. By now, he's already spinning this, probably claiming you attacked council property, that I've been compromised, that we're staging some kind of rebellion. Aren't we? Luna asked. Cassian's smile was grim. Not yet, but we're about to. They moved through the tunnels fast, Ghost leading the way, Cassian's remaining guards forming a protective circle around them. Luna's mind was racing. Mira was hurt. 3 servants were dead. She was sure of it now. And Thorn had men willing to kill in secret tunnels beneath the keep. How deep did his corruption go? They emerged in the east wing through a hidden door Luna had never noticed before. The hallway was empty, but voices echoed from somewhere nearby. Angry voices, shouting. The council chamber, Cassian said. They're in session, probably drafting articles of impeachment against me as we speak. Can they do that? If they have enough votes, they can do anything. Cassian handed the documents to one of his guards. Take these to my study. Lock them in the vault. No one touches them but me. Understand? Yes, Your Majesty. The guard disappeared. Cassian turned to Luna. What you do next matters, he said. We can play this safe, hide you somewhere secure, wait for the political storm to pass, then present the evidence quietly through proper channels. Or we kick the door down and throw this in Thorn's face in front of everyone. Cassian's eyes were hard. It'll be ugly, violent, probably. The council will fracture. Some will support us, some will support Thorn, and the rest will scramble to save their own skins. Luna thought about Mira, bleeding and pale, about the servants who'd disappeared. About her family, burning. "Kick the door down," she said. Cassian nodded slowly. "That's what I thought you'd say." They walked to the council chamber. Every step felt too loud, too visible. Guards lined the hallway. Some wore Cassian's colors, some wore council colors, and some wore no colors at all, which was worse. Those ones watched Luna with cold calculation. The council chamber doors were closed. Voices inside were raised, argumentative. Cassian didn't knock. He pushed the doors open and walked in like he owned the place, which, technically, he did. The council chamber was chaos. 7 elders seated around a curved table, all of them talking over each other. Thorn sat at the center, hands folded, that same calm expression on his face. But his eyes went sharp when Cassian entered. "Your Majesty," Thorn said smoothly. "How unexpected. We're in closed session. I know what you're in," Cassian cut him off. "And I know what you're planning. Articles of impeachment. Claims that I've been compromised by a dangerous woman, that I'm unfit to rule." The other council members went silent. Elder Margot looked uncomfortable. Duke Heron looked furious. "Your Majesty," Margot began carefully, "you were discussing how to remove me from power without starting a civil war," Cassian said. "Let's not pretend otherwise." "You've given us no choice," Duke Heron snapped. "You defend a girl who makes wild accusations against this council." "The accusations aren't wild." Cassian's voice dropped to something dangerous. "They're documented, signed, sealed with Thorn's personal mark." The room froze. Thorn's expression didn't change, but something flickered in his eyes. "I'm sure I don't know what you mean." "I mean," Cassian said, "that we found the archives, the real archives, the ones you thought were safely buried where no one would look." "The catacombs are forbidden," Thorn said. "No one has accessed them in... We accessed them tonight, and we found orders, dozens of them, all signed by you, all authorizing the destruction of pack settlements during the Morning Wars." Cassian let that sink in. "Including the Greywater Pack, Luna's family." The silence was absolute. "Those archives are classified," Thorn said. His voice was still calm, but tension threaded through it now. "Military records from wartime. Taken out of context, they could be misinterpreted. There's no context that makes no survivors acceptable," Luna said. Every head turned to her. She was still standing in the doorway, covered in dirt and blood, looking nothing like a potential queen. She looked like exactly what she was, a survivor. "The order was clear," Luna continued. She stepped into the room. Ghost moved with her, a massive shadow at her side. "Complete dissolution of the Greywater settlement. No survivors. Not because we were rebels or threats. Because we refused to swear absolute loyalty to the council. Because my father questioned Thorn's authority." "This is hearsay," Thorn started. "It's documented," Cassian repeated. "In your handwriting, with your seal." Elder Margot was pale. "Thorn, is this true?" "The Morning Wars were complex," Thorn said. He was still calm, still controlled, but his hands had tightened on the table. "Difficult decisions had to be made. Some settlements were harboring genuine threats. Some settlements had children," Luna said. Her voice was quiet now. "Deadly. I was 7 years old. My sister was 5. My brother was 9. What threat did they pose? War has casualties. This wasn't war. It was murder." Luna moved closer to the table. Several council members leaned back. "You gave them 1 hour to evacuate. Then you set fire to the main hall while people were still inside, while families were trying to gather their things, save their children. You burned them alive. You can't possibly remember." "I remember everything." Luna's hands were shaking, but her voice stayed steady. "I remember my mother hiding me in a drainage ditch, telling me to stay quiet, stay still, no matter what I heard. I remember the screaming, the smell. I remember you standing outside the settlement watching it burn. And when my father came out, burning, begging for help, you ordered your men to shoot him." The words hung in the air like smoke. "I was a child," Luna said. "But I remember your face. I've remembered it every single day for 13 years. Thorn looked at her, really looked at her, and for the first time she saw recognition in his eyes. He remembered. Maybe not her specifically, she'd been one child among dozens. But he remembered the Greywater Pack. remembered what he'd done. Even if your memories are accurate, Thorn said carefully, they don't change the reality. The Greywater Pack was investigated and found guilty of harboring fugitives from the Crown. The military action taken was lawful. Show me the investigation, Cassian said. Thorn paused. What? Show me the investigation records. The evidence of these fugitives. The trial, the verdict, the legal justification. Cassian's smile was knife-sharp. All military actions require documentation. If this was lawful, there should be records. So show me. Thorn's jaw tightened. Those records are classified. I'm the king. Nothing is classified from me. The records were lost during the war. How convenient. Cassian leaned forward. Let me guess. Lost in a fire? Destroyed by rebels? Stolen by the very fugitives you were hunting? Your Majesty, you're being manipulated. The only person being manipulated here is you. Cassian's voice was ice. By your own lies, you destroyed settlements without trial, without proof, without even bothering to verify the accusations. And you did it systematically. Dozens of packs, hundreds of people. This is speculation. It's documented. Cassian slammed his hand on the table. The sound echoed like a gunshot. We have the orders, Thorn. Your orders. In your handwriting, with your seal. We have proof. The other council members were looking at Thorn now, some with shock, some with calculation. Elder Margot looked sick. Duke Heron stood. If there are documents, I want to see them. Now. As do I, another elder said. This is highly irregular, Thorn began. So is mass murder, Cassian said. Thorn's mask finally cracked. Fury flashed across his face, raw and ugly. You would take the word of a servant girl, he said, his voice shaking with barely controlled rage, over the word of the man who served your father loyally for 30 years? My father is dead, Cassian said quietly, and I'm starting to wonder if that was convenient for you too. The room exploded. Council members surged to their feet, shouting. Duke Heron was demanding proof. Elder Margot was calling for order. 2 other elders were arguing about procedure. And Thorn just sat there, staring at Cassian with naked hatred. You're making a mistake, Thorn said. His voice cut through the chaos like a blade. A terrible mistake. The only mistake I've made, Cassian said, is letting you sit on this council for as long as I have. You can't remove me. The council charter doesn't protect murderers. Cassian straightened. Elder Thorn, I am formally charging you with war crimes, mass murder, and treason against the crown. You are stripped of your position and will be held pending investigation. You don't have the authority. I'm the Alpha King. I have all the authority. Cassian gestured to the guards at the door. Arrest him. The guards hesitated. Some of them were loyal to Cassian. Some were loyal to the council. And some, Luna saw it in their faces, were loyal to Thorn. This was the moment. The point where everything either held together or shattered completely. I wouldn't, Thorn said quietly. He hadn't moved, hadn't stood, just sat there, perfectly calm again. You arrest me, and this kingdom tears itself apart. Half the noble families are bound to me by marriage, debt, or favors owed. You move against me, you move against all of them. Then I move against all of them, Cassian said. You'll have civil war. We already have civil war. We've had it for years. You've just been calling it peace. Cassian's smile was terrible. The difference is, now it's out in the open. Thorn stood slowly. You're choosing her, he said, gesturing at Luna. A nobody. A servant with delusions and a vendetta. You're choosing her over the stability of the realm. I'm choosing the truth, Cassian said. Something you wouldn't recognize if it bit you. The truth? Thorn's laugh was bitter. The truth is that girl is a ghost from a dead pack that doesn't matter anymore. The truth is you're infatuated with her and making decisions with your ghost snarled. The sound was low, deep, primal. The kind of sound that made humans remember they were prey. Thorn went silent. The Warhound moved forward, placing himself between Luna and Thorn. His hackles were raised, teeth bared, eyes glowing silver in the torchlight. Interesting, Thorn said softly. The beast defends its master's pet. Ghost doesn't have masters, Cassian said. He has family, and he chose Luna. He paused. Just like I did. Luna's chest tightened. She hadn't expected that. Hadn't expected Cassian to claim her so publicly, so definitively, it changed everything. "This is your last chance," Thorne said. "Call off your guards. Apologize to the council. Send the girl away. We can forget this happened. Blame it on stress, on the pressure of the crown. No one needs to know." "Or, I need to know," Luna said. Everyone looked at her. "I need to know," she repeated, "that the man who murdered my family, who destroyed dozens of packs, who killed innocent people for no reason other than they questioned his authority, I need to know that he answers for it." "You want justice?" Thorne sneered. "There is no justice for people like you. There's only survival. You survived. Congratulations. Now disappear before you get yourself killed." "I've been surviving for 13 years, Luna said. "I'm done surviving. Now I want him to pay." Thorne looked at her, at Cassian, at the council members frozen in their seats, at the guards uncertain at the doors. He smiled. "You want me to pay?" he asked softly. "Fine. But understand, you're not just coming after me. You're coming after everyone who benefited from those campaigns, every noble family that gained land from dissolved pacts, every merchant who profited from the redistribution, every council member who looked the other way." His gaze swept the room. "You think you're fighting one man? You're fighting an entire system." "Then we fight the system," Cassian said. The doors burst open. More guards poured in, dozens of them, wearing Thorne's colors. They surrounded the room, weapons drawn. Luna's stomach dropped. This was it. The coup. Thorne had been planning for this moment, had his people positioned, had— "Stand down," a voice said. Captain Vera walked in. She was limping, her uniform torn, blood on her face. But she was alive, and behind her were more guards, wearing the king's colors. "Captain," Cassian said, "where have you been?" "Securing the keep, Your Majesty." Vera looked at Thorne's guards. "These men are under arrest for assault on the king's guard and attempted murder of a royal servant." "What?" Thorne's control slipped. "You can't—" "We can," Vera said, "and we did. Your men attacked Mira in the catacombs. My men witnessed it. That's treason." She looked at the guards wearing Thorne's colors. "Drop your weapons. Now!" For a long moment, no one moved. Then, one by one, Thorne's guards lowered their weapons. They were outnumbered, outmaneuvered, and Vera's reputation was ironclad. If she said Thorne's men were guilty, they were guilty. Thorne's face went white, then red, then something worse. "This is a setup," he hissed. "You planned this." "We responded to evidence," Cassian said. "You're the one who sent men to kill Mira. You're the one who's been covering up atrocities for over a decade. You did this to yourself." "The council will never support—" "The council supports the truth," Elder Margot said. Her voice was shaking but firm. "Or at least I do. If there's evidence of the crimes you're accused of, I want to see it. All of it." "As do I," another elder said. Then another. Within seconds, 5 of the 7 council members had declared they wanted a full investigation. Thorne stood alone. He looked around the room, at the guards arresting his men, at the council members turning against him, at Cassian standing tall with Luna beside him. His empire was crumbling. "You haven't won," Thorne said quietly. "This isn't over." "No," Luna agreed. "It's not. Because you're going to stand trial. You're going to answer for every pack you destroyed, every life you ended, and everyone who helped you is going to answer too. You think they'll let you live that long?" Thorne smiled. It was a terrible smile. "You're a loose end, girl. A witness to crimes that powerful people want forgotten. You think arresting me solves that?" "It's a start," Cassian said. He nodded to Vera. "Take him." Vera's guards moved forward. Thorne didn't resist. Just let them bind his hands, lead him toward the door. But as he passed Luna, he leaned in close. "I remember your father," he whispered. "I remember how he screamed when he burned. I remember your mother, too. She begged, begged me to spare you children, said she'd do anything." Luna's vision went red. She lunged. Cassian caught her before she could reach Thorne, held her back as she fought, as she screamed, as 13 years of rage and grief tried to tear its way out of her chest. "He's not worth it," Cassian said in her ear. "Luna, he's not worth it." Thorne was laughing as Vera's guards dragged him away. Luna sagged against Cassian, breathing hard, shaking with fury she couldn't release. The The council chamber was silent. Elder Margot stood slowly. "Your Majesty," she said, "I believe we owe Lady Luna an apology. If even half of what she's claimed is true—" "It's all true," Luna said. Her voice was hoarse. "Every word." Margot nodded. "Then the council has failed. We trusted Thorn, gave him power, looked away when we should have looked closer." She met Luna's eyes. "I'm sorry for what happened to your family, for what you've endured, and for not believing you sooner." It wasn't enough. Could never be enough. But it was something. "The wisdom trial," another elder said. "Technically, Lady Luna never completed it. She accused a council member of murder and backed it up with evidence," Cassian said. "I'd say that demonstrates plenty of wisdom." A few of the elders actually smiled at that. "Motion to suspend the remaining trials," Elder Margot said, "and to recognize Lady Luna as the king's chosen mate, with all rights and privileges thereof." "Seconded," another elder said. "All in favor?" 5 hands rose. It was done. Luna stared at them. "Just like that?" "Just like that," Margot said. "Though I suspect the real trials are just beginning. Thorn's network runs deep. This will get worse before it gets better." "Let it," Luna said. She looked at Cassian. He was watching her with an expression she couldn't quite read. "You didn't have to do this," she said quietly. "Any of this. You could have let Thorn arrest me, avoided the whole mess." "I could have," Cassian agreed. "But then I'd be just another king playing their game. I'm done with that. Even if it means war. Even if it means war." He smiled. It was a real smile this time, tired, grim, but real. "Besides, Ghost chose you, and I trust his judgment more than I trust most humans." Luna looked down at the massive warhound. He was sitting at her feet, watching her with those silver eyes. She'd come to the keep 3 years ago with nothing. No family, no pack, no name worth speaking. She'd hidden in the shadows, kept her head down, tried to be invisible. Now she stood in the council chamber as the king's acknowledged mate, having just brought down the most powerful man in the realm. It didn't feel like victory. It felt like the beginning of something much, much bigger. "What happens now?" Luna asked. Cassian looked at the council members, at the guards, at the chaos they'd just unleashed. "Now," he said, "we rebuild. From the ground up. And anyone who doesn't like it can join Thorn in the cells." Elder Margot inclined her head. "We'll support you, Your Majesty, as best we can." "See that you do." Cassian's voice was hard. "Because I'm done pretending the old ways work. They don't. They never did. They just hid the rot underneath." He turned to Luna, offered his hand. "Ready?" he asked. Luna looked at his hand, thought about everything that had led to this moment. The fire, the running, the hiding, the fear, the choice to stop being afraid. She took his hand. "Ready," she said. They walked out of the council chamber together, Ghost at their heels, guards falling in around them. Behind them, the council erupted into discussion, plans, strategies, damage control. But Luna didn't look back. She looked forward, toward whatever came next, toward the fight she'd been preparing for her entire life. The cells beneath Obsidian Keep were cold, damp, and older than the castle itself. Luna had never been down here. Servants didn't go where prisoners lived. But now she walked these corridors with Cassian at her side, guards trailing behind, her footsteps echoing off stone that had witnessed centuries of captivity. Thorn's cell was at the end, isolated, heavily guarded. He sat on a stone bench, hands still bound, looking smaller somehow without his robes and his council seat and his air of untouchable authority. But his eyes were the same, sharp, calculating, waiting. "Luna," he said when he saw her. "Come to gloat?" "No," she said. "I came to watch you answer for what you did." Thorn smiled. "There won't be a trial, you know, at least not a real one. Too many powerful people are implicated. They'll make a show of it, maybe execute a few underlings. But me? I'll disappear, quietly, with full honors and a generous pension." "You really believe that?" Cassian asked. "I know how this works. I've been playing this game since before you were born." Thorn looked at Luna. "You think you've won. You think justice means something. But all you've done is make yourself a target. Every family that benefited from those campaigns now wants you dead. Every noble who gained land or title or wealth from the redistribution, they're all coming for you. Let them come, Luna said. Brave words. But you're one girl. They're an entire network. Thorn leaned forward. How long do you think you'll last? Longer than you, Cassian said. The trial starts in 3 days. Public, transparent. Every document we found will be entered into evidence. Every order you signed, every settlement you destroyed, all of it. Thorn's smile faded. You're making a mistake. You keep saying that, Luna said. But the only mistake anyone made was trusting you in the first place. She turned to leave. Couldn't stay in this cell, breathing the same air as him, for one more second. Your mother died slowly, Thorn called after her. In case you were wondering, the smoke got her before the fire did. She was calling your name, looking for you. Luna stopped. Every muscle in her body locked. Cassian's hand went to his sword. One more word. She thought you'd gotten out, Thorn continued. His voice was casual, conversational. Kept asking the soldiers if they'd seen a little girl, dark hair, gray eyes. She described you perfectly, right up until the ceiling collapsed on her. Luna turned slowly. You're trying to break me. I'm telling you the truth, something you claim to value. Thorn's eyes glittered. Your mother died in agony searching for you. Your father burned alive, your siblings. Luna crossed the cell in 3 steps. Her hand shot through the bars, grabbed Thorn's collar, yanked him forward. His head cracked against the iron. Say their names, Luna hissed. You're going to stand trial and answer for what you did. So say their names, every single person you killed, starting with my family. Thorn stared at her. Blood trickled from his forehead where it had hit the bars. I don't remember their names, he said. Then I'll remind you. Luna's grip tightened. My father was Marcus Greywater, pack leader, healer, the man who taught me that strength means protecting people, not destroying them. My mother was Elena. She grew herbs, sang to us at night, made our whole settlement feel safe. My sister was Aria. She was 5. She collected flowers. My brother was Thomas. He was 9. He wanted to be a warrior. Thorn's face was carefully blank. Say their names, Luna repeated. No. Luna slammed his head against the bars again. Guards rushed forward, but Cassian held up a hand, stopping them. Say their names. They were casualties of war, Thorn said. Blood was running into his eyes now. Nothing more. Their names don't matter. Luna pulled him close, her face inches from his. They mattered to me, and you're going to say them. In court, in front of everyone. You're going to say the names of every person you killed, every family you destroyed, and you're going to tell them why. I did what was necessary. There was nothing necessary about burning children alive. Luna's voice broke. You're a murderer, and in 3 days everyone will know it. She let go. Thorn stumbled back, nearly fell. You think a trial changes anything? He asked. You think the world cares about one dead pack? It's not just one pack, Luna said. We found 73 different settlements in those archives. 73. Over 2,000 people, all destroyed on your orders, all labeled as threats when they were just families trying to live. Thorn went still. We have the documentation, Cassian added. Names, dates, locations, every settlement, every order. Elder Margot and her team have been cross-referencing it with census records. By the time your trial starts, we'll have a complete accounting. That's impossible. It's done, Luna said. And the families of those settlements? The survivors? They're coming to the capital to testify, to tell their stories. She paused. You wanted to know how long I'd last? Long enough to watch you answer to every single one of them. She walked out. Cassian followed, leaving Thorn alone in his cell. In the corridor, Luna's hands were shaking. Cassian took one of them, held it steady. You okay? He asked quietly. No, Luna said. But I will be. They walked in silence for a while. Ghost padded beside them, a constant warm presence. The council meeting is in an hour, Cassian said. You don't have to attend if... I'm attending, Luna cut him off. This isn't over until it's over. Cassian nodded. He'd expected that answer. They reached the upper levels. Sunlight streamed through windows. Real sunlight, not the dim torches of the cells. Luna stopped, turned her face toward it, let the warmth sink in. What if he's right, she asked, about the nobles coming for me? Then they'll have to go through me first. Cassian's voice was flat, final. And Ghost, and Vera, and every guard who's tired of watching corrupt elders destroy innocent people. That might not be enough. It's what we have. Cassian looked at her. You've already survived the impossible, Luna. You survived Thorn's massacre. You survived 13 years alone. You survived trials designed to kill you. Whatever comes next, we'll handle it. Luna wanted to believe that, wanted to trust that justice and truth would be enough. But she'd seen what happened when power was threatened. She'd seen what people did to protect their wealth, their status, their comfortable lives. This wasn't over, not even close. The council chamber was packed, not just the 7 elders, 5 now, with Thorn arrested and 1 elder having resigned in disgrace, but dozens of noble families, all of them demanding answers. Luna sat beside Cassian in the royal box. Ghost lay at her feet. Vera stood nearby, hand on her sword, watching the crowd with a soldier's wariness. Elder Margot called the session to order. It took 10 minutes just to get people to stop shouting. "We are here," Margot said, her voice cutting through the noise, "to address the charges against Elder Thorn and to discuss the evidence recovered from the catacombs." "Evidence obtained illegally," Duke Heron interjected. "The catacombs are forbidden, sealed by royal decree." "A decree I'm revoking," Cassian said, "effective immediately. The archives are now open for review by authorized council members." "You can't just—" "I'm the king. I can." Cassian's tone left no room for argument. The archives contain proof of systematic atrocities committed under the guise of military necessity. Proof that Elder Thorn authorized the destruction of over 70 settlements. Proof that hundreds of innocent people were killed without trial, without evidence, without mercy. The hall erupted again. Some nobles were shouting denials. Others were demanding to see the evidence. A few, a very few, sat in stunned silence. "Lies!" someone yelled. "The girl is manipulating him." "The girl has a name," Cassian said coldly, "and she's the only reason we discovered the truth. So show her some respect or get out." Silence. Margot cleared her throat. "We have prepared a summary of the findings. I will now read it into the record." For the next hour, Margot detailed the evidence. Settlement names. Dates. Orders signed by Thorn. Cross-references with census records showing entire families erased from existence. The numbers were staggering. Over 2,000 people, 73 settlements, 13 years of systematic destruction. Luna sat through all of it. Heard the names, heard the dates. Some of the settlements she'd heard whispers about over the years, places that had disappeared or relocated or been absorbed into larger packs. All lies, all cover-ups. They'd all burned, just like hers. "This is a political hit," a nobleman stood and declared. "Thorn served this kingdom loyally for decades. Now you tarnish his reputation based on, what? Documents that could have been forged? Testimony from a traumatized servant with a vendetta?" "The documents are real," Margot said firmly. "I've verified the seals personally. And the testimony," she looked at Luna, "comes from a survivor who has every right to speak." "She's biased." "Everyone's biased," Luna said. She stood. The hall fell silent. "I'm biased because my family was murdered. You're biased because you don't want to admit you benefited from that murder. But bias doesn't change facts. And the fact is, Thorn killed thousands of innocent people. The only question is whether you're going to pretend it didn't happen or finally do something about it." "And what would you have us do?" Lady Meredith's voice was sharp. "Tear apart every alliance Thorn built. Destabilize the entire kingdom based on events from over a decade ago?" "Yes," Luna said simply. Gasps, outrage, shouting. "The alliances were built on corpses," Luna continued, raising her voice over the noise. "The stability you're so desperate to protect? It's a lie. It always was. You can't build lasting peace on mass graves." "Pretty words from someone who has nothing to lose," Duke Heron sneered. "I have everything to lose," Luna shot back, "but I'm willing to risk it, because the alternative is letting him get away with it. Letting all of you get away with it. And I didn't survive 13 years just to watch that happen." Cassian stood beside her. "The trial will proceed as scheduled," he announced. "In 3 days, Thorn will answer for his crimes. publicly, and anyone found to have knowingly participated in or benefited from his actions will be investigated. You're talking about half the noble families in this kingdom, someone said. Then half the noble families have some explaining to do, Cassian replied. The council chamber dissolved into chaos. Nobles shouting, arguing, some storming out, others huddled in corners, whispering urgently. Luna watched it all and felt nothing, no satisfaction, no vindication, just exhaustion. This was going to get worse before it got better. She knew that. But at least now, everyone else knew the truth too. Mira was sitting up when Luna visited her in the healer's wing. The wound in her side was bandaged, her color better, though she moved carefully. You look terrible, Mira said. You got stabbed, Luna replied. I think you win. Mira smiled. Did it work? The evidence? It worked. Thorns in a cell, the trial's in 3 days. Luna sat beside the bed. And half the kingdom wants me dead. Only half? You're slipping. Despite everything, Luna laughed. It felt good, normal. I owe you my life, Luna said quietly. If you hadn't stayed behind, don't, Mira interrupted. You would have done the same for me. I don't know if I would have been that brave. You stood in front of the entire council and called out the most powerful man in the realm. You're plenty brave, just stupid about it. Mira's smile softened. Your family would be proud of you, Luna. Luna's throat closed. She couldn't speak. They would, Mira insisted. You survived. You fought back. You made him answer for what he did. That's more than most people ever get. It doesn't feel like enough. It never does. Mira reached out, squeezed Luna's hand. But it's something, and sometimes something is all we get. Luna stayed with Mira for another hour, just talking. About nothing important. About everything important. About what came next. When she finally left, Ghost was waiting outside the door. You always know where to find me, don't you? Luna said. Ghost huffed, pressed his massive head against her leg. Luna scratched behind his ears, felt some of the tension drain from her shoulders. Come on, she said. Let's go find your other human. Cassian was in his study, surrounded by documents, maps, census records, letters from noble families, some supportive, most threatening. He looked up when Luna entered. How's Mira? Alive, sarcastic, herself. Luna closed the door behind her. How bad is it? Depends on your definition of bad. Cassian gestured at the letters. 12 noble families have formally withdrawn their support. 6 are demanding Thorn's immediate release. 3 are threatening to secede from the kingdom entirely if the trial proceeds. And the rest? Waiting to see which way the wind blows. Cassian's smile was tired. Politics. Everyone wants to be on the winning side, but no one wants to commit until they're sure which side that is. Luna sat across from him. Can you hold the kingdom together? Honestly? I don't know. Cassian leaned back. My father always said the key to ruling was knowing when to compromise. But how do you compromise with people who profit from atrocity? How do you maintain alliances built on lies? You don't, Luna said. You burn it down and start over. That's a lot easier to say than to do. I know. Luna looked at the maps, the documents, the weight of an entire kingdom spread across one desk. I'm sorry for dragging you into this, for forcing your hand. You didn't force anything, Cassian interrupted. I chose. Remember? Ghost chose you, and I chose to honor that choice. Everything that's happened since, that's on me as much as you. Still, if I just stayed quiet, then Thorn would still be destroying settlements, still killing people, still covering it up. Cassian met her eyes. You did the right thing, Luna. It's messy and complicated and dangerous, but it's right. Don't second-guess that. Luna wanted to believe him, wanted to feel certain that exposing Thorn was worth the chaos it had caused, but certainty was a luxury she'd never been able to afford. What happens if the kingdom fractures? She asked. Then we rebuild it better. Cassian's voice was firm. A kingdom built on truth instead of comfortable lies, on justice instead of convenient compromises. It'll be harder, messier, but it'll be real. You really believe that's possible? I have to, Cassian smiled, because the alternative is admitting that Thorn was right. That atrocity is acceptable if it maintains order, and I refuse to live in that world. Luna looked at him, really looked at him, at the weight he carried, the impossible choices, the crown that was more burden than privilege. "You're a better king than you think you are," she said quietly. Cassian laughed. "That's not saying much. I'm serious. You could have taken the easy path, married a noble, played politics, kept Thorn happy. Instead, you chose chaos. You chose truth. That takes strength. Or stupidity. Maybe both." Luna smiled. "But I'm grateful for it." Cassian reached across the desk, took her hand. His palm was warm, calloused from sword work. "We're in this together now," he said. "Whatever happens next, we face it together." Luna squeezed his hand. "Together," she agreed. The trial was held in the Great Hall, transformed into a courtroom. Hundreds of witnesses, dozens of families who'd lost everything to Thorn's campaigns. The evidence laid out in meticulous detail. Thorn sat in the defendant's box, bound and guarded, his face a mask of contempt. The charges were read: mass murder, war crimes, treason, corruption. Elder Margot presided, her voice steady as she walked through the evidence. Document after document, testimony after testimony, survivors telling their stories, their pain, their loss. Luna testified, told her story, described the fire, the screaming, the smell of burning flesh, described hiding in the drainage ditch while her world ended. Thorn listened to all of it with that same blank expression, never flinching, never showing remorse. When it was his turn to speak, he stood calmly. "I did what was necessary," he said. "The morning wars were a time of chaos. Decisions had to be made quickly, with incomplete information. Some of those decisions were harsh, but they were made to protect the kingdom." "You burned children alive," Luna said. "What kingdom were they threatening?" "The kingdom as a whole," Thorn replied. "Every settlement that refused to swear loyalty was a potential rallying point for rebellion, a potential threat. I eliminated those threats before they could grow. They weren't threats. They were families. They were both." Thorn's voice was calm, reasonable. "And I chose the kingdom's safety over individual lives. That's what leadership means." "That's what tyranny means," Cassian said. The trial lasted 3 days. 3 days of testimony, evidence, arguments. In the end, the verdict was unanimous. Guilty. On all charges. Thorn was sentenced to death. The execution was scheduled for the following week, public, in the main square. Luna didn't know if she'd attend. Part of her needed to see it, to watch Thorn answer with his life for the lives he'd taken. But another part of her was just tired. Tired of fighting, tired of reliving trauma, tired of carrying the weight of her dead family. She stood on the battlements the night before the execution, looking out over the kingdom. Ghost sat beside her, a warm, solid presence. Cassian found her there. "You should be sleeping," he said. "Can't." Luna didn't look at him, just kept staring at the horizon. "Tomorrow Thorn dies. And then what? What happens to all the families that benefited from his campaigns? All the nobles who looked the other way? Some will be investigated. Some will lose their titles. Some will probably get away with it." Cassian leaned against the battlements beside her. "Justice is messy, incomplete, but it's better than nothing." "Is it enough?" "Enough for what?" "For my family, for all the families he destroyed." Luna's voice cracked. "I wanted him to suffer, to feel what they felt. But he's just going to die, quick and clean. And then it's over." "It's not over," Cassian said quietly. "We're dismantling everything he built, redistributing the land he stole, compensating survivors. It's not enough. Nothing could be enough, but it's something." Luna closed her eyes, felt tears slide down her cheeks. "I thought I'd feel better," she whispered, "when we won. When he was sentenced, I thought I'd feel something, but I just feel empty." Cassian pulled her close. She leaned into him, let him hold her while she cried. For her family, for all the families, for the girl she'd been before the fire and the woman she'd become after. Ghost pressed against her legs, warm and solid and loyal. "You don't have to watch tomorrow," Cassian said. "If it's too much, I'll be there," Luna said. "I owe them that much. My family, all of them." Cassian nodded, didn't argue. They stood there together as the sun set, painting the sky in shades of red and gold. Tomorrow, justice would be served. But tonight, Luna just let herself grieve. The execution was quick. Thorne faced it with the same calm he'd shown throughout the trial. No begging, no remorse, just cold acceptance. Luna watched from the royal box, Cassian's hand in hers, Ghost at her feet. When it was over, when Thorne's body was carried away, Luna felt nothing. No satisfaction, no closure, just a dull, hollow ache where justice should have been. But as she turned to leave, she saw them. The survivors. Dozens of them, packed into the square. Families who'd lost everything, just like her. They were crying, hugging each other. Finally believing it was over. And Luna realized justice wasn't for her. It was for them. For the children who'd watched their parents burn. For the parents who'd lost their children. For everyone who'd spent years wondering if the pain would ever mean something. It meant something now. 6 months later, Luna stood in the rebuilt settlement of Greywater. It wasn't the same as it had been, could never be the same, but it was something. A memorial. A place for survivors to gather, to remember, to heal. Cassian stood beside her, Ghost between them. They'd spent the last half-year dismantling Thorne's network, redistributing land, establishing new laws to prevent anything like the Morning Wars from happening again. It was exhausting, complicated, frustrating, but it was working. "You did it," Cassian said quietly. "You actually did it." "We did it," Luna corrected. She looked at the memorial, a stone monument carved with names, her family's names, all the names, 2,347 names, every single person Thorne had killed. "Do you think they'd be proud?" Luna asked. "My family?" "I think," Cassian said, "they'd be amazed. You survived. You fought back. You changed an entire kingdom. Of course they'd be proud." Luna touched the stone, traced her mother's name with her fingers. "I wish they were here to see it," she whispered. "Me too." They stood in silence for a long time. Then Ghost huffed, impatient, and nudged Luna's hand. She smiled, scratched behind his ears. "Come on," Cassian said. "The council meeting starts in an hour. Elder Margot wants to discuss the new settlement proposals." "More politics," Luna sighed. "Welcome to being queen." Luna looked at him. At the crown he wore. At the weight they both carried now. "I'm not a queen," she said. "You're my mate. The people love you. You've reformed half the laws in the kingdom. If that's not a queen, I don't know what is." Luna shook her head, but she was smiling. They walked back to the keep together, Ghost running ahead, then circling back, tail wagging. It wasn't perfect. Luna still had nightmares, still flinched at the smell of smoke, still carried the weight of everything she'd lost. But she also had something new, a purpose, a pack, a future. And for the first time in 13 years, Luna wasn't just surviving, she was living. The kingdom was changing, slowly, messily, but changing. And Luna was right there at the center of it, making sure it changed for the better, making sure what happened to her family never happened again, making sure their names, all 2,347 names, meant something. That was justice, not perfect, not complete, but real. And sometimes Luna thought as she walked through the keep's gates, Ghost at her side and Cassian's hand in hers, sometimes real was enough.